Hello and welcome to another Leica review. Today we are looking at the new Leica Q2, which we have been talking about since last year, and it has been a long wait for this new camera to come out. And there are new features, there are new things about this camera that has been sort of a legendary camera for Leica. And this camera that we're going to be talking about is going to have some features that are going to be major improvements from the past, and it's going to also incorporate some other additional features that's going to make it more competitive. Now, if you have already watched several reviews on Leica Q2, you have seen the infomercials about how good it is, etc. But nobody really talks about its positives, its negatives, the pros and the cons. And that is what we are going to talk about today, to mention what is good about this camera, why you should buy it, and there are reasons why you may not want to be purchasing it if it's not the right camera for you. So starting off, first of all, I want to mention a new camera that was announced by Panasonic, which is the S1 and S1R, that is using the L mount. Now, this is very, very important because you see a collaboration between Leica and Panasonic. It has been going on for quite some time, and there was a debate about what the capacity of the new sensor would be in terms of the number of megapixels, and we are seeing it's going to have a huge number of megapixels, which is a huge jump from the 24 megapixels to 47. Now, what that means is you're going to get a lot of resolution, you're going to get a lot of detail, especially considering that Simulux is going to give you a very, very sharp rendering. And that is crucial when you are trying to capture images from a high density sensor. And what I mean by that is the number of megapixels you put inside a sensor is going to require that those sensor points, that those pixels need to get as much light as possible, as much detail and sharpness as possible, so that it can accurately render that image quality as it should be. Now, Leica lenses are legendary in that respect, so it is a very, very important step, and that is when we will see the Simulux really shine, because what you can do is really crop the image down from one size that is going to be the full frame down to a smaller size, even all the way down to 75 millimeters. So now these things that you are supposed to be able to do in camera, and that's why Leica puts it that way, is actually cropping from the original frame. Now, there is a caveat to that. There's something that people totally miss out. If you take a 28 millimeter lens and then you crop it down to 75, that 75 millimeter framing is not going to be the same framing as you would get with a 75 millimeter lens. What you are getting is a crop of a 28 millimeter. So in that respect, it is not going to give you the look that you will have with a 50 or a 75 or any other dimensions and focal lengths that are going to be within that range. Now, another important factor that needs to be considered when you're looking at this lens is this lens is a very fast lens, 1.7. So that means it's going to perform very well under low light circumstances. What that means is that those megapixels that you have that has gone up will require more and more light to render images clearly and perform well in low light situations. And that is where the software comes in. You have to have the software perform incredibly well so that you can actually get that image to render properly and correctly exposed if those megapixels are larger numbers. So this is why we could have 24 megapixels and perform very well under low light. Now we're having 47, which is smaller pixels on the same size sensor that is going to need more light. And that is why, for example, when you look at video cameras, those are lower megapixels than for example, the S1R, which is the Panasonic's version of higher megapixels. And the reason they do that is because they don't need as much pixels to capture video, which is video, the 4K, the HD quality is the quality that you're looking for, and that quality that you can have with lower megapixels. That's why cameras like Blackmagic or Canon have been able to push out these cameras that are going to give you 4K but require less megapixels. Now, getting back to 47 megapixels, what is that going to give you? It's going to give you a competitive edge in terms of capturing images and being able to crop. So if you're doing on a professional level, this is what is beautiful about it. It is going to give you that ultra sharpness, almost to the quality of a medium format, but yet the medium format has got different characteristics which can be differentiated. What is beautiful is if you're taking a photograph of a landscape and you use a 47 megapixel camera, that means that you can blow out that image to a very large size, get finite detail. You're going to get beautiful contrast, beautiful detail. This is the reason you want a higher megapixel camera, because it gives you that micro contrast. And that is also need to be matched with the lens, which we have the Simulux, which is beautifully matched. Now, there are things that I mentioned earlier that is important. Now, most people who buy this Leica Q cameras, they think, oh, you know what, it's a single focal length, I'm not happy with it. They all want to be able to zoom into their children, or they want to zoom into the subject that is far away, as if they have a zoom lens. Well, this doesn't have a zoom lens, this is a fixed lens. So what has Leica done is put that option in there just to crop the image further and further. And that was something that was done back 10 years ago with the cameras just cropping, getting smaller and smaller, and the resolution dropping to like a very low number, which is like 8 megapixels on the 75. So what we're doing is actually cropping, and cropping is not the way to take professional photographs. If your intent is that, if you're going to use a 75 millimeter, use a 75 millimeter, take that portrait. If you're going to do a 90 millimeter, use a 90 millimeter. If you are going to use a normal lens, a 50 millimeter is a lens. The reason you have a Leica Q2 is because you want to use it as a wide angle lens, as a wide angle camera. So what that means is if you're out on the street, you're going to do, for example, street photography, this is your lens. This is the one you want to go with, because what's going to happen is that you're going to take this image that's going to have a lot of background. And this is great for street photography. If you're going to do, for example, photography of landscapes, architecture, it works perfectly. It's a good all-around lens. And a camera that is going to perform well in that respect is going to give you images that are going to be beautiful, and the color accuracy is going to be there. This is the reason it costs more to get a Leica Q2. Now, those people who want to purchase this camera just because it is a Leica must remember that this camera, although it's 47, has had a competitor, and a long time competitor, which is the Sony's RX1R. Now, that has been in the market for quite some time. It has very high megapixels. It has very, very good rendering, very good lens on it, which is a Zeiss lens. Now, if you compare those, you're going to find that there's a big price difference. The difference that you are going to be paying for is the way that the colors are rendered. You're paying for the software, and the software makes all the difference. You're paying for that difference because you are using a lens that also has a brand, which is Leica. So when you purchase it and you use a Leica Q, you know this is the choice you made because you are in particular looking for that. Now, there are ways to achieving incredible results by using color charts. You can use white cards to get the accuracy of the color range, and all these things will help you to get better images, yet those are things that a lot of people don't want to be bothered with. So in that respect, setting your camera into auto white balance and taking that image is going to give you those skin tones. This is what I use Leicas for. This is the reason I recommend Leicas in a lot of respects. So in that, Leica Simulux lens being a fast lens, and the fact that it's 47 megapixels is going to be a camera that's going to last for a good 4 or 5 years. And at that time, there is actually no more room to go up. I mean, what are you going to do? Get 100 megapixels? Those are absurd, because what is going to happen is you're going to get a higher density picture, a photograph, and that's going to take up more space in your in your folders and in your computers when you transfer it, and the fact that you cannot use that 47 megapixels to, for example, put it on your smartphone and then share it with the world. What you need to do is, again, you go down to JPEG if you're transferring from your camera. So in that respect, you have to remember the usefulness of it. If your intent is just to take it from the camera, put it into your smartphone directly and then share it with the world, that means it's overkill. You're not using this camera to its potential. If, however, you take that 47 megapixel file, put it into Adobe Lightroom, and then you render that image beautifully with the accuracy and the presets that you may have. I have created these special presets that you can use for Leica to get this most accurate quality of images and to get the most character. That is what you want to have. Those photographs that you see that are beautiful, contrasty, giving you that beautiful detail, is the reason to have a 47 megapixel camera. Now, there are other important improvements. First of all, it's more streamlined. What it means is what Leica is saying to you is, we are a camera that is going minimalistic, and then you got 3 buttons in the back. Yes, it's nice, it is good, but previous version was not all that bad. It was a camera that was simple and it was easy to use. Now, if you wanted to go from, for example, single shot to multiple shots, what you're gonna do is you have to search in the menu, get there, and then and you cannot really switch it back and forth easily. So in that respect, getting more minimalistic doesn't always mean a faster response rate, especially if you're doing, for example, professional photography. This could be a great backup camera, for example, if you're doing wedding photography, or if you are doing, for example, landscape photography. You can take this out and take multiple shots, or you can combine these images together to get really accurate, beautifully rendered images. What I'm saying to you is, use it for the right reasons, own it for the right reasons. Now, another thing, there is a sort of what they call the water resistance. Now, at the 15-degree angle, what that means is IP15, whatever, that is going to give you the fact that you can have a light rain that is not going to affect the way your camera performs. In no way inform that you can take this camera and immerse it in water and hope that it will work. It is designed to take some rain. Okay, and if the rain is too heavy and too strong, it may affect the function of the camera. So what that means is, you have to know how you're going to use this camera and know that it's going to perform well under some conditions where we're going to have some light rain. Okay, and now there's also other things that I want to mention. The fact that it is improved, its quality is going to have a better low light performance. It's going to be updated. It's going to give you that edge from the previous camera. So it's a good upgrade. It's a good choice. If you are in the market to purchase a camera that is going to perform well for the next 4 or 5 years, and you want to be happy with a single focal length, which is 28, then this is the one that has no competitor in the market. Because if you look at, for example, its closest competitor, Sony, it is 35 millimeters. This is 28, so 28 is very good for if you're doing wide angle photography. And more importantly, this is going to have a Leica quality. It's very well constructed, it's well made. So we have provided some links down below. Watch those. There's going to be an article, and there's going to be part 2 of this review. So please stay tuned to watch that, and I will give you more details and share with you some of the images that we will have. And I look forward to seeing you in our next review. Thank you for watching.